In section 4B, personnel, we're going to dig down even further into your organization. So this section should describe your duties as the dealer, include job descriptions for all of your key department managers. You're going to describe your pay plans, incentive plans for managers, salespeople, parts counterpersons, and service advisors. And you'll need to write 4 employee policies for each department. Now, these should be different policies for each of those departments. These are the policies that can typically be found in the dealer's employee handbook. And then finally, you need to write 6 performance objectives for each department. 3 will be financial and 3 will be customer satisfaction. You're going to describe your duties, your management style, your leadership style. Some of the things you might want to talk about in this section are, what types of management meetings or how often you're going to have management meetings. If you're going to use daily operational control reports or docs. Your management style, think along the lines of MBWA or management by walking around. Talk about your conflict resolution style, whether you will delegate authority or provide employee empowerment. So next, describe the structure of your organization. Now, most of your organizations are going to be traditional, but as you think about the differences between traditional and dealer groups or multi-store operations, start to put together a structure for your dealership. So dealer principal, operating manager, are you going to have some separation between dealer principal and maybe a general manager? And what will the delegation of duties look like within your organization? Are there specific projects that will require multiple people from multiple departments? You can also think about, what does it look like to your frontline personnel, the people that are dealing directly with the consumer? You will be creating job descriptions for your managers. Now, the job description is actually going to include at least 3 different sections. There will be a narrative of the expectations for the position. And then there will also probably be a list of skills and abilities that are required and a task list, which might be the things that the manager is responsible for doing. In the pay plan section, you're going to write compensation plans for your managers, your service advisors, your parts counter people, and your salespeople. Now, these can be based on a number of different methods, such as salaries or hourly pay, incentives, bonuses, commissions, or you may come up with something totally new. Incentives are a one-time payment for the sale of an item that would be paid to the selling employee outside of their hourly wage or salary. Incentives are often known in our industry as a spiff. Now, when I was working at the dealership, we had a low upsell rate, so they created what they called buck slips, where when the technician did a 21-point inspection, if he noted anything that needed to be addressed, he would get a buck. If the service advisor sold a customer on any of those items, he would get a buck. And so this buck slip was an incentive or a spiff to drive a specific behavior. Bonuses are typically a percentage that's shared with employees. So for example, profit sharing. When I was a service advisor, I earned a percentage of all of my sales as a bonus. Bonuses can be paid pretty much any time management wants to do it, but most commonly it'd be monthly, quarterly, or annually. So it might be the sales volume of a specific employee, that employee's team, or the department. It could also be paid off the gross profit or the net profit. However you decide to pay bonuses, you need to show this later on in your financials, but you also need to describe in here how it's going to incent your people to do the things or behave the way that you want them to. Bonuses can also be a flat rate paid to employees. So it might be the same for all personnel in a specific department or even within the whole organization. Could also be based on things like how long they've worked for the company, their base salary, or other criteria. So for example, when I worked in the car dealership, everybody in the service department got the same bonus within, like, if you were there for 0 to 5 years, you all got the same bonus. If you were there 6 to 10 years, they all got the same bonus. So there are a number of different ways that it can be structured. Now, management bonuses are typically paid either monthly or annually, and they are paid based upon that manager or the manager's department reaching one of their objectives. It might be something like gross profit or net profit. It could even be tied to another department's performance. And that's how many managers or general managers or dealer principals can ensure that the departments are working together towards common goals. Or it could be off of the total dealership net profit. Again, that's an easy one for a general manager, but your department manager is being paid off of a total dealership net profit would hopefully drive behaviors to work together so that all the departments benefit and are able to be more profitable because of that teamwork. Now, commissions are a little bit different. They're typically tied to the specific sale. Might be a sale of a vehicle, parts, or labor. Might be a percentage of the sale amount, a percentage of gross profit, or a percentage of net profit. So if you think back to AMGT 302 or 303, where we covered this, the profit equation is sales minus cost of sales equals gross profit. Then you subtract your selling expenses or variable expenses to get your selling gross profit. Subtract fixed expenses from that, and you get your net profit or operating profit before taxes. And then finally, after you take taxes away, you have your net profit. So think about how you're going to pay the various people. And the first one here we have is service advisors. And how paying them in whatever way you choose is going to incent them to behave in a specific way, the way you want them to behave. So salary versus commission or a combination of the two, and how that's going to drive people to sell more or do more or whatever it is that you have as an objective for that department. So parts counter person, their pay plan may be structured differently than a service advisor, but you still have to consider those different components of salary, commission, or a combination. And you need to think about, again, how that pay structure is going to incent them to behave the way you want them to drive them to do the things that you really want them to do so that your business or your department is overall profitable. I think for our vehicle salespeople, we have the most options for how to pay them and how to incent them. So there can be salary, there can be commission, there can be salary plus commission. There can also be tiered pay plans or pay plans tied to the gross profit earned per unit sold. And again, these all come back to specifically driving certain behaviors. Now, those of you who have taken 302, make sure you go back and look at your salespeople pay plans that you created in that course. You're also going to create manager pay plans. Now, it's very important here to think about how your pay plan could either create silos where the manager only cares about their own department, or could create a collaborative team environment where the managers are helping the counterparts in other departments to help their performance so that they all benefit. So manager pay plans can include a number of different components, and they can be tied to a number of different performance factors or profitability factors. So to think about and avoid some of the issues when it comes to pay, these are some criticisms of pay plans in the automotive industry. So the first one is like no changes in pay plans or changes in pay plans at maybe an inopportune time. You don't want to affect someone's wallet, especially negatively, in the middle of a pay period. That's never going to go well for anyone. Another criticism is that no one in the dealership is paying attention to what's going on in the market and whether they're still paying people competitively. Another one is that it's really hard to find qualified managers, and there's no job security, and there are definitely long hours required in retail. So basically, the moral of this story is to reward good people for good performance, but also to provide both intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. You want to provide people with motivators, and they're not always tied directly to pay plans. So as part of your pay plans, you want to make sure that you're staying competitive. And another thing is communicating to people the total compensation package that you're providing. So pay plans are good. They fulfill the basic needs of people. However, you have a lot of other things that you might offer in the way of benefits. It could be, health benefits. It could be a workout place where you provide some kind of discount for your employees so they stay physically healthy. It could even be, days off, vacations, and so forth. You have to think about all of those things and how they might influence somebody's desire to remain with your company. Okay, so next let's jump into policies. You need to write 4 policies for each department. Now, if you don't have a body shop, there's going to be 4 policies for 4 departments: sales, service, parts, and the office. However, if you have a body shop, make sure you remember to write policies for the body shop as well. You may not reuse policies across departments, so each department must have different policies. Now, you can get an idea of some policies if you're able to look at an employee handbook during one of your dealer interviews. Okay, so now we're up to our performance objectives. We want to keep in mind the difference between goals and objectives as we covered in the business description and vision. So for example, we might say by the end of calendar year 2018, ABC Chevrolet will have achieved an 89% fixed right the first time performance as measured by customer satisfaction surveys. That objective is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So your objectives should contain who is involved or responsible, what is being measured, what is the standard they need to attain, and then what's the time frame they have to get it accomplished. Here's some examples. The service department of ABC Motors will be #1 in customer satisfaction. So that is a CSI objective. The next one, the parts department of ABC Motors will maintain an inventory obsolescence of less than 5%. Well, that's a performance objective. So you're going to need 6 objectives for each revenue generating department. So you don't need one for the back office. You'll have 3 objectives focused on customer satisfaction and 3 objectives based upon business performance. So make sure you review the requirements for Section 4B personnel and walk through each one of these items step by step. Refer to the rubric if you need to. And of course, as always, contact me if you have any questions or post to the discussion board. I'm reachable during my office hours by phone or pretty much anytime by email or text message.